Welcome to We're Not Doing a Podcast. Mark Weber and Jarrett Least here with a wild week in New York sports. There was a lot of downs, injuries, some major players on some major teams. But there were some ups. Opening day was earlier this week. People getting excited for the 162-game season of Major League Baseball. We're going to switch this up a little bit. Normally, I fire questions at Jarrett. He answers them, and I react. This time, it'll be kind of similar, but we're going to play a little bit of a game. It's called I'm Not Worried or I'm Freaking Out. Jarrett, can you just give me one I'm not worried and one I'm freaking out?
In terms of just, I'm not worried in terms
No. Just say I'm not worried and then say I'm freaking out. Just so we can get ourselves prepared for the following questions.
Oh, when it comes to just, I'm not worried, it's just, I'm not worried. Who gives a shit? Whereas I'm freaking out, I'm going to fake punch a wall. I'm going to fake throw the computer, and then I never end up doing it. So that's like the fake I'm freaking out. That's the gist of my emotional tendencies when it comes to the lovely sports teams we root for.
All right. The first one, the team that you root for in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, said on March 15th that he intends to be a Jet. He is still not a Jet. Jarrett, are you not worried or are you freaking out by now?
I'm not worried. And if anyone's worried, they need to just chill the fuck out and calm down. He's going to be a Jet. Let's calm down. There's people being like, oh, there's maybe a chance Aaron Rodgers doesn't come to the Jets because, oh, it's the Jets. He's going to be a Jet. I'm only freaking out because other people are freaking out. The master of panic when it comes to other people is making me panic. So people need to just stop panicking and calm down. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. But you sometimes text me and be like, oh, I don't know if he's going to be a Jet or not. I'm a little worried. Calm down. He'll be a Jet. You got to take a chill pill when it comes to Rodgers. I know he's going to be a Jet. I know you're always worried, but he's going to be a Jet.
But it's not up to Rodgers, though. It's up to the front offices of the Packers and the Jets. Yeah. If it were up to Rodgers and he was a free agent and it was just about him signing the dotted line, why would anyone be worried? But you're talking about a really historically incompetent front office. Granted, the people have changed over time.
Currently, it's okay.
And the Green Bay Packers, a team that always knows what they're doing.
We may not necessarily know that with the Packers because they have been bailed out by Hall of Fame quarterback play for well over 30 years when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. So we're going to find out what they're really like if Jordan Love isn't necessarily some sort of savior. But when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, you texted me the other day saying, well, the Packers may bench him. Do you really, in your outright mind, think the Green Bay Packers are going to bench Aaron Rodgers, just have him sit on the sidelines and watch Jordan Love play football? That's never going to happen. They're going to trade him. It's going to most likely happen before the draft because the Packers want compensation in this year's draft. So there's nothing to worry about. If by some godforsaken, horrible thing happens that Aaron Rodgers isn't a Jet, then yeah, I may probably have to go down to the Empire State Building and burn it. But right now, nothing to worry about. I'm the type when it comes to worrying about something, I'll worry about it when it happens because there's too many other things to worry about in life. So right now, it's all good. Not worried at all.
Is there anything the Jets would give up that would make you slightly concerned for getting a quarterback that will be joining the team for such a short term?
In terms of the compensation, there's nothing that I'm worried about because at the end of the day, you're going to be getting a Hall of Fame quarterback who gives the Jets a realistic chance to win a Super Bowl this season. But I keep saying the Jets have leverage in the sense of the Packers need to make a trade before the draft. And the Jets know this. And the Jets aren't giving up the 13th pick in the draft. They'll probably most likely give up one of those 2 second-round picks, 42nd or 43rd. I almost hope Joe Douglas gives up the 43rd pick just to be petty with the Packers. So he can just keep 42 in spite. So he could say, I have the pick that's the pick before 43. Just because I feel the Packers personally in this whole thing have not been operating in good faith, but they just need to move on and send Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. He's a Hall of Famer. He's done so much for that franchise. Quit dragging this on much longer. They're digging their heels in.
Why not send him elsewhere, though?
Because then he'll just retire. Aaron Rodgers will just say, I'm not, if you're going to trade me to the Atlanta Falcons, it's like, no, I'm going to retire. So that's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers, you got to give the Jets credit in the sense that they have the roster that Aaron Rodgers wants to play for. And ultimately, the Packers aren't going to trade him to an NFC team. So the Jets are the perfect situation. They're an AFC team. They're a team that's ready to win now. It's the perfect storm for this marriage to happen with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. So the Packers can dig their heels in for all much longer they want. They want compensation in this year's draft to continue to add some players to help out a first-year starter in Jordan Love. The Packers, they're dragging us out, but this is going to get done.
They should, though. They should be dragging it out. They have so much leverage in this situation.
I think the Jets, to me, the Jets have more leverage. The Packers need to get the trade done before the draft. The Jets
Packers have the valuable asset, though.
But the Jets don't need to get the trade done until at least before OTAs. You just want to make sure you have Rodgers in the building before the offseason workouts begin. Why do the Jets need to have Aaron Rodgers in the building on May 4th? They don't.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They don't need to have him in the building then. So you really just want to have him as a member of the Jets prior to the start of OTAs, which is at the end of May. That's why I keep saying the Jets have the upper hand here. The timeline benefits the Jets more. The Jets need Aaron Rodgers by the end of May, where the Packers need the compensation by the end of April, which is the first round of the NFL draft. And Joe Douglas can simply say, okay, we'll use all of our picks in this upcoming draft. Come back to us, Green Bay. We'll send you picks in 2024. And the Packers will be looking at themselves like, yeah, we kind of screwed that up. So people could say that no one has leverage. The Packers have leverage. I will continue to be of the belief that the Jets have the upper hand in this trade. And that's why they haven't caved and they haven't given up that 13th pick.
I'm not worried either. I think that the Jets should, at a certain point, ask what the Packers want and give it to them at a certain point, because you got to be thinking the backup option is Zach Wilson's your quarterback. Ugh, absolutely disgusting. I'm not worried. The Jets will likely get this done, and they have to get it done. They set themselves up where they have no other option, because Zach Wilson is equivalent to no option. Next up on I'm not worried or I'm freaking out. Justin Verlander is starting the season on the IL with a low-grade strain. Jared, are you not worried, or are you freaking out about this for the Mets?
I would say I'm not worried, with a caveat. When it comes to
he loves this segment, by the way. He's liking this.
When it comes to the Verlander injury, it's I don't even know what the injury is. The way it was described, it still makes no sense to me. It was an injury with the armpit. But here's where I freak out. It's, of course, Justin Verlander gets placed on the IL on opening day, where it's just like, oh, sure, you know what? We replaced Jacob deGrom with Justin Verlander, the guy who's durable and he takes the ball every fifth day and he makes 25 plus starts every year. And sure enough, he's already placed on the IL. But Justin Verlander said he's not worried about it. If it was a playoff scenario, he'd be able to take the ball. But this is the Mets. This is the Mets. That's where my freak out always comes into play, because when something can go wrong, it usually does. I mean, so I'm not worried, with a caveat. It just really.
At what point do you start freaking out? If he's not back by May, if he just isn't pitching as well.
I mean, it really comes down.
I find it hard to believe you're not worried about this. I find it very hard to believe.
But remember last year when Max Scherzer went down with that oblique injury, and there was a stretch of 2+ months where the Mets were without both Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, and they still found a way to win 101 games. I'm not worried about this team in terms of regular season success. The key for both of them is they need to be fresh come October, because they are the reasons why this Mets team will or won't win a World Series. Look at what happened in the final series last year against the Braves, and then, of course, in the wildcard series against the Padres. The pitching came up small. This team is built on its top two guns in Verlander and Scherzer, so they both need to be 100% healthy and firing on all cylinders come October. So I'm really not worried if Verlander misses time in April or May or June or July, or Scherzer needs to miss a start or two come July or August. They need to both be healthy and firing on all cylinders come October, because it can't be a repeat of last year. So right now, I'm not worried. I'm not worried, really.
Just to keep in mind of starting pitchers age 39 or older to make an all-star team and then sign with a different team the following season, the only pitchers to do it and have another all-star season were Roger Clemens and Kenny Rogers. Hopefully for the Mets and for Jarrett's sanity, Justin Verlander could be that type of pitcher and have another remarkable season following up his Cy Young season last year. When it came to opening day, we had something interesting going on in New York City. It just seemed that none of our local politicians have any idea about baseball. George Santos, with his incorrect "Let's go Mets" chant, "Let's go Mets," when it's actually "Let's go Mets, let's go Mets." And then Eric Adams calling Yankee Stadium Yankee Park. Are you concerned are you worried, or are you not worried, or are you freaking out that none of our local politicians have a clue about baseball in this town?
You're really asking me a question about politicians.
Well, you could just say it really briefly.
Oh, I'll just say this. It's not worried or freaking out. I know for 100% certainty that every single politician is a goddamn moron. That's all I know. They don't know anything about baseball. They don't know anything about life. Nothing. They're the worst. Every single last one of them. You're going to get my blood boiling when it comes to these politicians. I cannot stand every single last one of them. Next question, as Terrell Owens would say. I cannot. Oh God, please. They're the worst.
Right, let's give you a lighter one. Anthony Volpe wearing the number 11.
He's a good one.
With all the expectations for him in the Bronx. For his sake and for Yankee fans' sake. Seems like a lot of the franchise is resting on his shoulders. Not worried or freaking out for Volpe.
I mean, I'm not overly concerned with too much pressure being placed on Volpe, because he does have a good lineup in front of him to back him up. Aaron Judge hits a home run in his first at-bat of 2023, so he's going to be the engine to the Yankee lineup. Giancarlo Stanton, hope he stays healthy. He can have another good season as well. They have some other guys. You hope DJ LeMahieu can stay healthy as well. But I think Anthony Volpe is in a position when it comes to the start of the regular season where he doesn't have to be considered the savior to the franchise. I think there'd be more pressure on another new guy in Carlos Rodon, who's going to be out for a little bit, because you're going to need that second ace to back up Garrett Cole come October. So in terms of more pressure of a newcomer for the Yankees, I would put a little more on Rodon than Anthony Volpe. But look, Volpe, you don't want to see him get off to a 180 start in his first 5-6 weeks as a big leaguer. You want to see him get off to a good beginning in the Yankee pinstripes. So I'm not worried that all the pressure in the world is being placed on Volpe, but there's no question about it. There is a lot of hype surrounding him. There is a lot of hype going on with number 11.
Do you really care that much about his number? Why does that really matter? Does it really put that much pressure on him?
No, but it's cool. I didn't want to see him wear number 77. He's
Frazier Ward. I mean,
he's a shortstop. He's a smaller guy. Number 77 is meant for an offensive lineman or a bigger guy.
Two of the Yankees' top prospect pitchers in the last few years, Deivi Garcia and Clark Schmidt, both had numbers over 80. It doesn't matter. It's just they're running out of numbers, and that's what it is. I want a triple-digit player on the New York Yankees. I want to see a jersey with triple digits and for it to be a legitimate player, not someone in spring training, not someone who gets a September call-up. I want to see a starting player wear triple digits, and it will happen in our lifetime.
Put it this way: if the Yankees just keep barreling out legend after legend after legend, there's going to be no numbers left. So you're going to have to go into the triple digits. But Volpe should be wearing a lower number. He's a smaller guy. He's a shortstop. He shouldn't be wearing a higher number. I think 11's perfect for him. And I like the fact that he also reached out to Brett Gardner asking for his permission. So you could tell he's a classy guy. Put it this way: when it comes to Anthony Volpe, Anthony Volpe is going to be the new Todd Frazier. Everyone know where Todd Frazier was from.
Yeah, but he's so much more legitimate than Todd Frazier potentially. I mean, you're talking about a guy that is primed to be the next superstar for the Yankees. Yeah. Todd Frazier was a nice local story, and I know you tend to be obsessed with that. Volpe is from New Jersey. His father's a Yankee fan, but Volpe is a guy that is looked to be as the next Derek Jeter, and that's why I'm a little freaking out for him, because it is a lot of pressure to be Jeter, because Jeter was, if you could go to a lab and build a baseball player for the New York Yankees, it would be Derek Jeter. So could Volpe be that guy? Hope for him, but I don't know. And I don't want that pressure to be on him, but I think the Yankees, from denying all these major shortstops big contracts and putting it in the hands of him and having him start opening day, the pressure is on for a guy like Anthony Volpe. And as a New Yorker, you hope he lives up to it. You don't want the worst for him.
And you're putting a lot of pressure on him by rocking the Jeter sweater with the Greatness Wins brand right there. So look, there's pressure on him. Everyone knows he's a top prospect. He's a first-round draft pick, starting shortstop for the New York Yankees on opening day, in which the Yankees have World Series aspirations. There's no doubt he has a lot of hype and a lot to live up to. But if other guys in this lineup can support him and be a good supporting cast for him, I think he'll be able to ease his way in and become more of the main cog with the Yankees. He batted ninth in opening day. He starts hitting more. He's going to be moved up in the order. I like the fact that he made the team out of camp. He 100% deserved it, and it just would have been a bad message to send him down to AAA to start the first few weeks of the season. So let him get acclimated to the big league club, game 1 of 162, and let him rock. Let's see what he's got.
Next up, not worried or freaking out, Julius Randle, ankle injury, potentially out for the rest of the regular season, and hopefully back for the playoffs. Jared, not worried or freaking out about that one for the Knicks?
With Randle, you got to choose my words carefully when it comes to describing Julius Randle, because he deserves a lot of credit in the season he's had. He's an all-star. He's averaging 25 and 10. So he deserves a lot of credit, averaging 25 and 10 on a playoff team. So he deserves his props where it's due. But I'm not freaking out. I'm kind of intrigued to see what this team will look like.
Who steps up, though? Especially if Brunson's still hurt. Who steps up?
I think it's a combination of a bunch of guys. I think you need Brunson to get back acclimated and playing. He can't take any more games off, because you don't want him rusty going into the playoffs. Emmanuel quickly has come on really strong. He deserves 6th man of the year. Let's see what Obi Toppin can do. Maybe Obi Toppin just has this breath of fresh air, knowing that he doesn't have the cloud of Julius Randle weighing over him, that he can play a little more freely. Now, I'm not expecting Obi Toppin to just snap of a finger, he's going to average 20 and 10. No, that's not going to happen, but maybe he plays a little better. And other guys, I think, will step up. I think Josh Hart will be good as well. You'll get Isaiah Hartenstein to play well. Mitchell Robinson needs to start playing better as well, because he needs to be the anchor of this defense, and he has really not played well over the past few weeks. So they need him to get his game back on track going to the playoffs. But there's part of me where I'm kind of interested to see what this Knicks team will be like without Julius Randle. We all know sometimes he's very volatile when it comes to his emotions. So I'm not worried. I think this team has potential to do something pretty good, even without Julius Randle. If it was Brunson, I'd be freaking out, though.
I agree with that, especially when it comes to Brunson. And I'll give you two stats that just really intrigue me on this Randle thing that makes me not worried as well. Knicks in the first half with Randle in the court in Wednesday's game against the Heat, they shot 43%. When Randle left for an injury in the second half, they shot 59%. Here's another stat. Quentin Grimes in the last 4 games, which is something that everyone on Knicks Twitter seems to be obsessing over, and for good reason. 21 points per game, 54% from the floor, and 51% from three. For a guy that was very hesitant to shoot and came into this team with a lot of promise, Quentin Grimes could be that guy to fill that part. And if you're a Knicks fan and you see him become an elite scorer and kind of that grocery store, poor man's Klay Thompson type, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Who will get the rebounds? Hopefully that's Mitchell Robinson. Hopefully that's Isaiah Hartenstein. But it could be interesting. And that's why I think as for the Knicks, I'm not worried either, because these guys play with such a team effort and are able to fill in. Now, enough with that game. One question that dates back to the beginning of this podcast, with it or not with it. The Final Four. You have UConn and Miami. Now, I know Miami for Jarrett is going to be with it because he always loves everything to do with Miami, but UConn basketball in New York, with it or not with it?
It's kind of with it, not really. I mean,
it's either with it or it's not with it. It's one or the other. You can't go kind of.
I don't think
it's kind of freaking out.
I don't think UConn's with it in New York. I feel like St. John's would be more with it.
Ooh,
we're gonna be. I mean, we're terribly biased when it comes to Syracuse. Syracuse is New York City's college in terms of alumni, so they're more with it when they're playing games at the Garden. UConn does have a good alumni, so I'm sure any UConn alum that are listening or watching this podcast are just going to come at me with pitchforks. But I don't think UConn's with it in New York. It's just my opinion.
Do you think UConn should be more of a tri-state area team or a New England team? Because Connecticut falls,
I think,
in between there. They're a part of the tri-state and they're also part of New England. And UConn doesn't really have a home arena per se. They're in stores sometimes. They're in Hartford. It's colors. They're both considered New England probably, but it is weird.
Same colors as the New England Patriots too. So
they flew the Patriots plane too.
So we answered our own question. They're more New England. They can enjoy Boston. However, the Boston people want to talk about their city. So UConn, New England, they're not New York's team. St. John's, Syracuse, they're New York's college basketball teams.
And Jarrett, you're also really high on UConn. You texted me this past weekend saying that every college basketball analyst is wrong for not saying that this team is the best in the nation. Jarrett, the floor is yours.
Well, I said to you, every college basketball analyst should be fired if UConn wins the national championship, because I texted you after watching 2 minutes of UConn in the first round saying, I think this team can win the national championship. I didn't watch a single game pretty much of UConn all season. And if I said after 2 minutes, UConn can win the national championship, and they do win the national championship, every college basketball analyst, goodbye. You know, like, take them off your books, ESPN, CBS Sports, because if I could watch 1 second of college basketball and say, oh, that team can win a title, then we don't need analysts. So they look like a real title contender to me. So they got a good shot, I think, to cut down the Nets on Monday night.
And UConn always was a major title contender. Ken Pom had them in the top 10 going into the tournament. So it is a little crazy that no one really had them winning it all, especially with the talent that you did mention, and also given the analytics and the numbers around it. I actually read a really interesting article saying how a lot of journalists and college basketball analysts really shouldn't be picking games like this, because they kind of just know how to analyze the game and write stories and not really know how to analyze based on the numbers and pick a true winner in a time of gambling. It kind of causes some controversy. Now, the topic that is last but not least, this is something that I have not actually spoke to with Jarrett all week, because I've been waiting for this moment. I've wanted to know what his answer. Now, The politics one, I probably shouldn't have asked, and I regret asking. I really regret that. I'm sorry for those watching. But Daniel Murphy is a Long Island Duck. There you have it, a Long Island Duck segment. Jared and I both from Long Island. It was coming. The Ducks have had some pretty legitimate guys walk through Bethpage. Dontrell Willis, John Rocker, Eric Gagne.
Timo Perez.
All right, so you really know yourself, and that's going to make me very excited for this question. Who is the one former New York baseball player, Mets or Yankees, that would get you to a Long Island Ducks game?
One former Met or Yankee that would get me to a Long Island Ducks game.
Like the one guy that you heard was suiting up for the Ducks, and you're like, Weber, I have to go to the Ducks game.
I mean, the fanboy in me as a he's my idol growing up as a kid would Mike Piazza. So that would be one, but Mike Piazza is not the most entertaining. So it would probably have to be someone who's just pure entertainment. Who's an entertaining Met or Yankee that was just for maybe Kenny Rogers. Maybe Kenny Rogers, like he'd be just so angry on the mound. He would just like blast all of his teammates, guys who will never make it to the major leagues, and just belittle them. So I would only go to a Long Island Ducks game for entertainment. I mean, are we really going to a Ducks game to see good quality baseball? So I'd go see Kenny Rogers, see him throw a ball at one of his teammates in the dugout or start a fight with someone, stuff like that.
Here's my answer, and I want to know how you didn't think of this guy. Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Absolutely.
Our guy.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Can you imagine just seeing him hit lasers out there? And also that he's so close to 700 home runs, and they try to finagle to see if they could count it. That would be a good promotion for the Ducks, to see Alex Rodriguez officially hit 700 professional home runs since he made his major league debut. Wouldn't that be fun? You would go to that. You know that you'd be there with a bunch of Miami students having the best time.
And the greatest thing about that also is you could do a remake of Mr. 3000 with Mr. 700. He goes to play a couple games with the Long Island Ducks. You know the ego will be bursting through his chest, being like, oh, I still got it. Sign me up, any major league team, and he'll come back and just try to get 5 or 6 more home runs, however many more he needs to get to 700, and just try to do whatever he can to get that illustrious number 700 home runs. So, 100%. You changed my mind within 5 seconds. I would go see A-Rod to play for the Long Island Ducks, without a doubt.
Did you ever have a Ducks hat as a kid?
I think I only got a Long Island Ducks t-shirt, and the one game I actually went to was with it was one of my good friends' birthday parties when we turned like 11 or 12. They actually gave out free quackers, so I think I maybe have that in the storage room somewhere.
They gave it for every game, every single game. You got a quacker. I myself have like a few of them in my childhood bedroom, and I think I definitely have a Long Island Ducks hat. There was a time where every kid on Long Island in Little League had the Ducks hat at practice before they got the official hats. For some unknown reason, every single kid wore a Long Island Ducks hat. It was like the thing to go. They didn't even go to the game, and they were getting them online or at the sporting goods stores. It was like a really cool thing to have that Ducks hat, considering they became a team when we were in elementary school and at the time. All right, that is it for Jarrett and Mark Weber. Myself, we're not doing a podcast, but we just did. Jarrett, hopefully you continue this weekend, not worried, instead of freaking out. Thank you.